Meetings are supposed to create clarity, but most of the time they create the opposite: scattered notes, half remembered decisions, and that uncomfortable moment later when everyone realizes they remember the meeting differently. The real problem with meetings isn't the conversation itself, it's what happens after the meeting ends. Because after the meeting, someone has to turn the conversation into notes, someone has to figure out what actually matters, someone has to write the follow ups, and most of the time, that someone is whoever volunteered or whoever stayed quiet long enough to get assigned the job. This video is about what changed when I started using AI for meeting notes, not just transcription, but full meeting capture, structure, decisions, and action summaries, and why this quietly became one of the highest leverage workflows I use every week. Let's start with the old workflow. You join a meeting, you listen, you talk. Maybe you take notes, maybe you don't. If you do take notes, they're messy. Bullet points, half sentences, arrows, fragments. You promise yourself you'll clean them up later. Later rarely comes. So the meeting ends and everyone goes back to work with slightly different interpretations of what just happened. Who owns what? What's the deadline? What actually got decided? What was just brainstorming? Those details get fuzzy fast. This is where I started to change everything. Instead of trying to capture perfect notes in real time, the goal becomes capturing the meeting completely. That sounds like a small change, but it shifts your role inside the meeting. You stop trying to write while thinking. You start focusing fully on the conversation. That alone improves meeting quality because the moment you stop splitting attention between listening and writing, you become more present. The next shift happens after the meeting ends. Instead of staring at messy notes and trying to remember what mattered, you hand the entire conversation to AI and ask for structure. And structure is the real value. The first thing AI does well is extracting key points. Long conversations become clear summaries. Tangents disappear, the main themes rise to the surface. What felt messy becomes organized. But the real power shows up when you ask for decisions and actions separately. Meetings contain two very different kinds of information: discussion and decisions. When those two get mixed together, confusion starts. When they get separated, clarity appears. A, I can pull out the actual decisions that were made, then it can pull out the action items. Suddenly, the meeting becomes something you can act on instead of something you vaguely remember. This is where the workflow becomes powerful. Step 1, capture the meeting. Step 2, summarize the meeting. Step 3, extract decisions. Step 4, extract action items. Step 5, send the follow-up. That final step used to be the most painful. Writing the meeting recap email is one of those tasks people avoid. You want it to be clear, you want it to be accurate, you don't want to miss anything. Because of that pressure, it gets delayed. With AI, the recap becomes a draft-first workflow. Generate the summary, edit it, send it. The blank page disappears, and removing the blank page removes friction. Another unexpected benefit shows up quickly: consistency. Every meeting gets the same structure: summary, decisions, action items, next steps. That consistency builds trust. People know what to expect, they know where to look. And when people trust the notes, they rely on them, which means fewer follow up meetings just to clarify the last meeting. That's the hidden cost of poor notes. They create more meetings. When notes improve, meetings shrink. There's also a memory benefit that shows up over time. Every meeting now creates a clean record. Weeks later, you can look back and understand exactly what happened. Not guesses, not fragments. Clear history that turns meetings into knowledge instead of noise. Another advantage appears when projects get complex: multiple meetings, multiple decisions, multiple stakeholders. Without structure, those details scatter. With AI notes, they stay organized. And once that organization exists, planning becomes easier because the information is already clean. This workflow also changes how meetings feel in real time. When you trust the capture process, you stop worrying about missing details. That reduces mental load. Reduced mental load improves thinking. Better thinking improves conversations. Better conversations improve outcomes. That chain reaction is easy to miss until you experience it. Let's talk about what this workflow is not. It's not about removing humans from meetings. Humans still decide, humans still discuss, humans still lead. AI handles the repetitive structure that happens after the conversation ends. This pattern shows up again and again with AI. The biggest value comes from removing friction from the parts of work that don't require judgment. Meeting notes are a perfect example. There's also a speed benefit. Follow up emails go out faster. Action items get assigned sooner. Work starts earlier. That shortens the time between conversation and action. And shortening that gap increases momentum. Momentum is one of the most underrated advantages in any team. When things move quickly, energy stays high. When energy stays high, projects progress faster. All of that starts with clear notes. One more benefit shows up over time. Accountability. When action items are clearly written and shared, ownership becomes visible. Visibility increases follow through. This is not about surveillance, it's about clarity. Clarity reduces misunderstandings, clarity reduces delays, clarity reduces repeated conversations. Suddenly, meetings start to feel useful instead of exhausting. Let's make this practical. Imagine a weekly project meeting. Without structure, the meeting ends and everyone goes back to work with partial understanding. Questions appear in chat, clarification emails get sent, small confusion spreads. With AI notes, the recap goes out within minutes. Everyone sees the same summary, the same decisions, the same action items. The meeting actually ends when it ends. That small shift saves hours over time. Another subtle advantage appears with new team members. When meetings create clear records, onboarding becomes easier. New people can review past meetings and quickly understand how decisions were made. That historical clarity is incredibly valuable. There's also a confidence effect. When people know meetings produce clear outcomes, they trust the process more. That trust changes participation. People speak more clearly. Decisions get stated more explicitly. The meeting culture improves. This is the hidden compounding effect of good notes. If you want to try this workflow, start simple. Pick one meeting per week, capture it, summarize it, extract decisions and actions, send the recap, watch what changes over the next month. You'll notice fewer clarification messages, fewer just checking emails, fewer repeat discussions, because once the meeting becomes clear, the work becomes clear. I didn't make meetings smarter, it made the outcome of meetings clearer. And that difference changes everything. That is what actually changes everything about AI meeting notes. Now let's talk about the day-to-day prompts that make this effortless. After a meeting, you can ask AI to do three very specific things. First, create a short executive summary in 5 bullet points. Second, list every decision that was made. Third, list every action item with an owner and a deadline if mentioned. That trio alone covers most real-world needs. You can go further if you want. Ask for risks mentioned, ask for open questions that still need answers, ask for topics that should become future meetings. When you start doing this consistently, meetings transform from isolated conversations into an ongoing knowledge system. Another powerful habit is sending the recap quickly. Speed matters more than perfection. A recap sent within minutes keeps context fresh. People remember the conversation, they spot small mistakes quickly, corrections happen fast. That feedback loop improves the next meeting. There's also a psychological effect. When people know the recap is coming, they state decisions more clearly during the meeting. They naturally shift toward clarity. The meeting becomes more decisive because the output becomes visible. Now, let's talk about the fear some people have. Will this make meetings feel robotic? In practice, the opposite happens. When people stop worrying about note taking, they focus more on discussion. Conversations feel more human, not less. Over time, another benefit appears: searchability. When months of meetings are captured and summarized consistently, finding information becomes easy. Instead of asking, when did we decide that? You search and find the answer in seconds. This reduces repeated conversations. It reduces confusion. It reduces the need to rely on memory. Memory is unreliable. Records are not. There's also a leadership advantage. Clear recaps show clarity of direction. Teams move faster when direction is visible. Visibility creates alignment. Alignment reduces friction. And once friction drops, momentum increases again. One final tip, keep the recap short. People read short updates, they ignore long ones. A short summary, a clear list of decisions, and a short list of actions is enough. Clarity beats completeness. This entire workflow takes minutes after the meeting ends, yet it removes hours of confusion later. That trade-off makes this one of the highest leverage. AI workflows available today. If you start using this, you will notice something subtle within a few weeks. Meetings start to feel lighter, follow-ups become faster, projects move smoother, the entire rhythm of work shifts slightly in your favor. That's the compounding effect of clarity.